If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description.
SoFaygo just dropped his album, Pink Heartz, and this has been a fan favorite for quite some time. It's been in the making for quite some time. He's been teasing it, and fans have been wanting it, and I listened to it. I am not like a SoFaygo stan. I'm gonna listen to how my introduction to him has been in a second, but let's break this down and let's see what I thought of this thing, because I actually thought it was pretty good. So let's jump straight into this. So this thing has been like in the making for a very long time, and fans have been craving for this. He most recently dropped a little EP to keep fans happy while they were still waiting on the album, which has just been teased at for like the longest time with teasers and stuff like that. And it's almost gotten this like infamous status, kind of like, I don't want to compare it to it, but like Uzi and Eternal Atake, but at least, or like, you know, Cardi and Whole Lotta Red, like that type of, that big album that they got coming out, that was this for SoFaygo. So I was pretty excited. He did drop a little EP, as I said, called Before Pink. That was actually a really great tastemaker for what was to come on this record, and it featured singles like Count Me Out that I really loved and that I had on repeat while I was also waiting for this album. So this was kind of like also my big introduction, the first time that I was like, let's listen to the singles, let's have them on repeat, and the album's coming out, so I was pretty excited for this too. I didn't go into this with like big expectations. As I said, I'm not like a complete diehard fan. I've only been watching him from the sidelines a little bit because obviously he's been making waves out there. And I mean, being signed to Cactus Jack for a big portion of your career, having singles like Knock Knock out there, and being in the conversations ever since like 2020 definitely gives you a huge boost when you're dropping an album like that, and definitely that, you know, involves anyone watching hip-hop kind of taking notice of what's going on in the culture right now, what music is dropping. They know about SoFaygo, so that's kind of where my position is with this thing. And leading up to the release of it, I definitely enjoyed singles like, for example, the Hell Yeah single with Ken Carson. I thought both of their styles fit together perfectly. They're both part of this new like rage, you know, I don't want to say like rage wave, because definitely artists like SoFaygo define it in another way as compared to, who can I compare it to that's like really mainstream? Like, for example, Yeet, that definitely takes a different approach to it. SoFaygo is a lot more melodic with it and kind of goes a bit more like, you know, plug and beat type of stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, why they fit together so well, but I still enjoyed it very much. Now, the album itself, I believe, is great. I believe one of the biggest, you know, pros that goes for this is the momentum. The selection and the sequencing on this album does a lot when it comes to the momentum if you're listening to it top to bottom. Of course, this isn't always the way that artists intend their albums to be listened to, but I believe in this case, there was definitely a lot of thought put into what song comes, you know, before what song, and what song comes after which song. Because there's definitely a lot of moments where you're like, okay, I just came from this more hype song, and now we're kind of slowly going through a transition into slower songs, and then it picks back up into more hype songs, but never like really harshly, never like we have a very slow song and then all of a sudden a hype song. It's always like it kind of transitions you into it, and that is what's so great about this. So the balance of that is definitely a strong point on this one. We start out with an amazing intro with Transparency that is more slower, a little more introspective, and that I really like, and then we kind of ease without that is a bit more upbeat, that is like, okay, I see you can do this thing, and we transition into Hell Yeah that is definitely a little bit more upbeat. So stuff like that is what I'm talking about. Now, my favorite song on here is I'll Say. Like, I've been just listening to that thing for the past 3 days ever since the album dropped. I just think that, you know, how it kind of breaks down and then picks back up with that drop that is not like too out there. That's not like, okay, he was just going for a hard drop, but as like, oh, okay, like this is some like one of those niche, one of those deep cuts that people definitely like. So that's definitely my favorite song off of this album. We also only got 3, technically 4 features on here. We have the Ken Carson feature on Hell Yeah, as I just talked about, and we also have a Lil Uzi feature that I thought it was nice, but it didn't like completely add to the song or like change the song. The song would have still been really good if it was just a SoFaygo song. And we also have a Gunna feature and DJ Khaled, but obviously he's just like screaming around on the record. But also the Gunna feature was really nice. But what I think is even more so remarkable is that all three of the features, so, Gunna, Uzi, and Ken Carson, they don't steal the show on the tracks. The whole album would have been just as incredible without them. They just kind of add a little bit to it, maybe also add some mainstream appeal so that, different fan bases kind of convert over, and, Uzi fans, Gunna fans, Ken Carson fans, they also check out his music. That is obviously also what a feature was kind of originally supposed to be, and not like this whole monetization of it that we have nowadays where you're paying crazy amounts of money for a verse. So I do like that. I believe the features were picked very well, but they also still serve a purpose, each of his own. So I really enjoyed the features as well. And I think the main takeaway that we got from this album, and the main, the biggest strong point that could have developed out of it, and that did, is that we see a lot more potential for SoFaygo. This is not his peak performance. He can still go so far. We see amazing, also very, very, very personal passages on a couple of these tracks, but also passages where he just goes hard and you're like, okay, this man can also perform really well because he got the songs to do it. And so I believe that from here on out, SoFaygo will only go on to do bigger things. Obviously also with the Cactus Jack boost he got in his back, that will only, lead him to do even greater things. But even now tapping into fan bases of Uzi, of Gunna, of even very big mainstream artists, DJ Khaled, that's only going to allow him to grow even further from here on out. And so this is kind of the best case scenario that we get out of it, because he left us with the impression that there's still more to come. This is great, but in a year he can drop yet another great album and elevate, yet even further. And that's the best way that you can leave an album, is with the impression, or is with the feeling inside the listener that they want more, that the listener wants more, and that the listener believes that the artist can give them more. And so I believe that is probably the strongest point that we got on this new SoFaygo album. But yeah, that's kind of a wrap for me. Think this album is incredible. Pink Heartz, SoFaygo. I'm going to go back to this a couple of times. As I said, I'll say is my favorite track off of here. What's your favorite track? What is your least favorite track? Did it meet your expectations, Pink Heartz? Do you think also, as I think, that SoFaygo is only going to go on to do even bigger things from here on out? All of your thoughts and your reviews and your theories and opinions and all things you got on this, please let me know in the comments down below.
If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.